Hey everyone, Brayden here coming to you with a very special episode of Mickey Views News, where we are going to be doing a comprehensive tour all around Epcot to see all the latest construction work, from the latest additions like the new signage at Ratatouille in France, and over at the Land Pavilion with Awesome Planet, new lights over at the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster, and much more, as well as take a look at some of the major demolition happening right now as this park undergoes its dramatic Epcot Overhaul transformation. Starting outside the front gates, right now there's only one bag check entrance into the park. Previously, there have been two, one on each side of where guests approach the park from the parking and all the other modes of transportation. For now, all guests are being funneled towards the one new entrance area, the new entrance path, where there's that new bag check underneath the monorail station, while the previous east bag check area is being reimagined. And as you can see in this overhead look from the monorail station, there's a lot happening as Disney redoes this entire area. If you look in the distance, you can see some concrete pylons that have just gone up, which are likely for some sort of covering over there, I would suspect. There's also been lots of speculation the faces from the old Leave a Legacy monoliths will get a new home somewhere out in this area, as Disney did say the new display would be outside the front of the park. Also, prior to entering the park, taking a look at the latest progress on the back of the Guardians coaster, you can see a new gray building that is being constructed off the former Universe of Energy building. That is the new storage and maintenance area for the coaster's ride vehicles, which looks like it's coming along very nicely. Heading towards the ticketing area, you'll notice all of the touch points that are off to the right hand side are currently walled off. And going to a map for a second so you can visualize this, right now the only bag check entrance to Epcot is on that right hand side, but then once inside, the right hand side is walled off as far as the tickets go, so then you must go over to the left hand side to tap in. And then once you actually go into the park, right now the left side of Spaceship Earth, that pathway is blocked off, so then you must go right on that pathway. So there's definitely a lot of zigzagging going on with all the construction walls and all the work that is going on with this Epcot overhaul near the front of the park. Once you're inside and in that entrance area, you can see currently the main planter, the Epcot fountain, and the right side of the Epcot entrance are all walled off. And as you can see from the monorail footage, Disney is already hard at work on digging up the old pathway on that side that they just walled off, as they prepare to add all the new pathway and planters recently completed on the left side of the reimagined Epcot entrance area, which I got to experience for the first time today. I thought the new area looked really nice, even with the walls. They've got this really cool "The World Awaits" graphic and the awesome new Epcot typeface. Speaking of, I'm proud to announce we've got a fresh new futuristic Mickey Views shirt up right now on the Mickey Views Teespring store, available as a t-shirt or a hoodie. Link in the description below if you want to check that out. The interesting part about this Epcot entrance work going on right now, I would say, has to be the fountain. Disney's bringing back that iconic Epcot prism fountain with some new features this time around. As you can see in the concept art, there's something in the middle of the three prism structures. There's been a lot of debate if that's a water feature in and of itself, or if that's some sort of spotlight that you'll see at night. But there's been a lot of speculation as to what exactly that is. And then of course you also have all the new tile that surrounds the original Epcot prism structures. Now what makes this interesting is this past weekend, Imagineers were spotted surveying a big piece of tile that had been placed on the fountain, which looked like when you run water down it, it's going to make some sort of cool rippling pattern. But then oddly, when I went to the park today, that tile has been removed. So it was just some sort of temporary test, something they just placed on the fountain temporarily to see how it works, to see how it looks, and then they actually removed it, so there's still no tile permanently on the Epcot fountain just yet. Now, of course, there's still plenty of time to get some tile together and then put up the prisms. You know, the footings for the prisms are already, you know, cut into the fountain. It can all come together very quickly here, and it probably will, given how quickly Disney was able to get all the new planters and pathway placed on the other side that's now open. Once it's on that side and they get the fountain done, the whole new Epcot entrance courtyard will open, and I think all that will be done in time for the spring break crowds. I think that's Disney's goal, to have the new Epcot entrance complete in time for those spring break season crowds. That'd be very exciting. Let me know what you guys think about all the latest progress going on here. Going past the Epcot entrance work in the Epcot fountain, I already mentioned the fact that the left side of Spaceship Earth, that whole pathway is closed right now. Gateway Gifts is under refurbishment. That whole pathway is blocked off while they do some pathway and planner work over there. I think it's just going to be for a little bit, and then that area will be back open. But it's just funny to see how many zigzags there are just to get into the park. It's going to get even crazier because moving further into this year, when the other half of Innoventions West and Penn Central and all of that is walled off, you're going to be essentially left with nothing in the middle of Epcot, in the middle of Future World. In a recent graphic Disney released of all the new Disney character locations, which we'll talk about in a moment, they actually ended up showing what the map will be looking like in a few months in Epcot come this spring, where essentially the entire center there, it's all grass, and we know what that grass is. That's all walls, that's all construction, where that whole center area is all going to be walled off, and it's going to be a big dirt pit and all sorts of demolition going on and all sorts of new construction. And that is why Disney is building new temporary bypass walkways on each side of Spaceship Earth, because essentially what you're going to do is you're going to enter the park and then you're going to split off on these bypass pathways and completely avoid the center of Future World, because the entire thing is going to be one giant wall and it's all going to be walled off. It is going to be pretty wild. So on one side, there's a new pathway being built next to Guest Relations, which will take you around to Future World East. So you'll cut past Guest Relations over to the secondary Mouse Gear entrance, the temporary Mouse Gear, which is actually behind Guest Relations right now. And that will also bring you over to the Guardians Coaster area, where currently there's a giant wall that's about to be pushed back, so it'll be more space over there. In fact, Disney is finishing up the brand new pathway over by the entrance to the Guardians Coaster, and you're actually gonna be able to walk on it and everything very shortly. You can see in this photo from Blog Mickey that you've got this cool new shape in the pathway that looks pretty awesome. And there's also these new futuristic light fixtures by that area that look really cool. You can also see over the current wall, the new smaller wall is already being built and put together so that they can actually push that wall back, and that'll be the new way that you'll access that part of the park. You'll go on that temporary bypass walkway over there, and you will not be able to go past Guest Relations towards the center of the park. That'll all be dirt, that'll all be ripped up as Disney completely reimagines it. So all this stuff is coming soon stuff. On the other side, the temporary bypass has already opened. The west one, which takes you from Spaceship Earth behind the former Innoventions West, which is about to be torn down, right over to the Seas Pavilion. It's a very weird area. Disney's put all sorts of cool graphics and logos up to make it sort of themed. You have Moana over there on the wall. Of course, her walk through water attraction will actually be going approximately right where this temporary walkway currently is, as well as it'll also be sort of where Innoventions West currently sits, a little bit over there as well, by where the Art of Disney currently is. And then once over on this side of Future World, you can see the former temporary Epcot character spot, which moved the characters from the now demolished side of Innoventions West to the next to be demolished side, and now that side too is getting demolished. So now the Disney character meet and greets, they have no hope of having one spot to do all those. They've all been split up all over the park. Right now you can find Mickey over at the Pixar Short Film Festival over there. Joy from Inside Out, you can find her over there as well. Now Minnie is meeting guests in a gazebo where Duffy the Disney Bear used to meet guests over by the port of entry in the World Showcase of all places. And then the funniest one, Daisy Duck, she's just meeting guests outside, out front of the new temporary Mouse Gear over in Future World East. Daisy meeting guests outside in Future World East of all places, probably not something you ever thought that you would see. But before we go over and talk about the new Mouse Gear location that she's meeting guests in front of, the new temporary Mouse Gear over in Innoventions East, we have 3 new shows that are coming to Epcot very, very soon. The Beauty and the Beast Sing-Along in France, the Canada Far and Wide Circle Vision in Canada at the Canada Pavilion, and then we also have Awesome Planet at the Land Pavilion. Awesome Planet inside the Land Pavilion, where the Circle of Life used to be, has gotten some brand new permanent signage. Off to the side of the entrance, you can see we have this new wait time video board featuring a moving poster for the show, which cycles through different scenes that are presumably in the attraction, which is a very cool touch there, that video poster. Also, while we're on the topic, Disney released the schedule for the Beauty and the Beast sing-along, which is coming to France, and Disney has said it will play alongside Impressions de France. It will not replace it. Now, it turns out Impressions de France will only be playing the last 2 hours of the day, many days of the week, and many fans of the film are very concerned that by Disney giving it this terrible time slot where no one's going to be watching the show, not because of the show itself. I mean, you could make arguments there, but just in general, you usually don't see a lot of people going on attractions in the World Showcase the last 2 hours of the day, because that's when everyone's gearing up for Epcot Forever. They're getting their food, their dinner. So there's a lot of concern out there that this could spell the end for the show, where Disney says, well, it looks like no one's interested in Impressions de France, even though they put it at the very end of the day, and then it ends up just becoming the Beauty and the Beast sing-along gone permanently. While we're over in France, I hopped on the Skyliner to give you the latest view, the latest look at all the Ratatouille work that's happening behind the pavilion right now with the ride opening summer 2020. And as you can see, Disney has just installed the Gusteau's signage over the top of the skyline there. As you can see, Disney actually sent out some promotional imagery where you can see it hanging over France as they were actually going in to install it. And it looks really, really cool. While we're over at the World Showcase, there is a crane that you'll spot over by the Outpost, which is currently assembling the barges for the new permanent replacement to Illuminations, the new Harmonious Nighttime Spectacular, which is premiering this spring. BioReconstruct on Twitter spotted some new arching pieces, and these we know from the Epcot Experience preview are going to be moving on the LED barges, projecting what look to be lasers or small spotlights into the air, which could look really cool. A very cool visual effect if it does look anything like the concept video we have here. Last up in the World Showcase, over at the American Adventure, the Art of Disney that was formerly over at Innoventions West has now moved into the gift shop over there. And also work is continuing on the new counter service restaurant coming to the pavilion sometime presumably in the next month or so. Disney says it's coming winter 2020, which some people thought they meant like the end of the year. I believe they mean early 2020, like the winter we're currently in. It's going to open because it looks like it's already almost ready to go. They just have to build this like smoke area outside, as you can see in the concept art. The food photos from the Regal Eagle Smokehouse look so good. I am very excited to try this out. Now, I did have an 800-word rant ready to go, and it was all put together on the topic of this Regal Eagle Smokehouse. There's been a lot of discussion lately because of the fact that Disney has announced Sam Eagle from the Muppets is going to be the mascot for the dining venue. I don't think that's bad by any means, by the way. I'm thinking maybe once this place opens, I can go over and grab that awesome looking burger with the flag in it, and we can do a little one take off the cuff Epcot rant video in the park, and also do a food review along with it. So let me know what you guys think about that idea. But back to wrapping up the latest happening in Epcot, circling back around to Future World East, Test Track is currently under a refurbishment, a very short refurbishment here, just for the month and just going into February a little bit, which was said to be just a software update. That's supposedly what's going on with the attraction. They're updating the software throughout the attraction, you know, all the screens you see, all the ride tech, but oddly, some scrims have been put up at the entrance, which I think is a little bit interesting for what was supposed to not be infrastructural, something that was just supposed to be software related. Also, while we're over there, over at the Space Restaurant, if you go off to the side of Test Track, you can see work is coming together quite nicely there. We're expecting a February opening. That's not official, but sometime in February we should see this open. The part that was really behind is off to the left, that white section of the building, which looks like it's finally near complete. If you actually notice, they did a little bit of theming in it in the concrete on the wall. You can see there's a little circle and a little archway. That's kind of cool. And speaking of cool, from Future World East, since all the trees have been removed from the Wonders of Life, now when you're over there, you can see all the pavilions lined up, all one after the other, which is a really cool perspective, including the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride building, sort of looming over all of them. They're all lined up next to each other. It's something I never thought I'd see. When the Golden Dome had a forest around it, everything sort of seemed further away, which is interesting. When you have all the big trees, it kind of makes everything feel more spaced out. And then when you remove all those, you realize everything's like right next to each other, which is pretty funny to see. At Mission Space, on the ramp off to the right side of the pavilion, you can see the blocked off entranceway, and that is where you'll enter the Space Restaurant. That's where you'll board a space elevator simulator, but really a real space elevator as part of the story, I guess. And then you're going to go up into space, and that is where you're going to be dining. I am so excited for that restaurant. That is going to be an amazing experience, sort of seeing dining and the Imagineering style theming really coming together in a way that I don't think we've ever seen before, really making it like you're sort of eating on an attraction almost. That's really what I'm hoping for here, but I don't want to get my expectations too high. Turning around, Mouse Gear is totally and completely gone. It is completely closed, the original Mouse Gear at least, as it undergoes the dramatic transformation that was previewed at the D23 Expo last year. The windows have tarps covering them, the signage is down, and now the new temporary Mouse Gear location has opened in Innoventions East, as the closure of the park's main gift shop with nothing to replace it would mean a loss in earnings on the Disney Parks sheet on the quarterly earnings report that Disney cannot afford. Although here's the thing, I don't think that this temporary Mouse Gear location is making nearly as much money, and here's why. You have to go to the back of the Innoventions East building to enter the location, and I want to actually show this on a map because it is kind of hidden away. It almost makes you wonder why even have a temporary location when people can't really find it, right? It's pretty much the same thing as not having Mouse Gear at all when it really makes no money because no one really sees where it is. Hopefully they'll make that better once the pathway reconfiguration is done, where you go on that temporary pathway. When you go on the temporary pathway, you're going to walk past 2 entrances to the temporary mouse gear. So if you go around the backside, that is where you can find the park's temporary main gift shop. And a lot of people have been criticizing this new venue for it being, very cheap looking, very, sparse in terms of the decor, very bland, very temporary. And yeah, it is temporary. It's the temporary mouse gear location. I actually think the Epcot graphics that are around the inside look awesome. The thing is, when I was there, they had Saving Mr. Banks music playing the whole time, which I thought was a bizarre choice for what is supposed to be a very futuristic shopping location, it being in Epcot and all. They really need to be pumping in the Innoventions and Future World soundtracks, because that is irreplaceable. That sound, that is what makes Epcot Epcot. And they're gonna add new music onto that, onto the soundscape of the park, and that's awesome. I encourage that, but also the music that currently exists, that is what makes Epcot what it is, right? So I really think that should not be thrown by the wayside or sort of forgotten, as it sort of seems to be right now. I feel like part of the reason it's forgotten right now is just because so much of the sound system has been ripped up with all this construction going on, not necessarily like some deliberate attempt from Disney to, retire those songs or anything like that. Besides the odd music choice for the environment, for the time being, I thought this place was nice. You might notice there's a lot of merchandise being displayed on the old mouse gear stands. Now that with this new mouse gear refurbishment underway, the interior is going to have a whole new look and all sorts of new fixtures, so you can get your one last look at what was the former steampunk sort of style to mouse gear. It still will have a mechanical style in a way, but if you look at the art for the new location, it does look a lot like all the Disney stores, the new World of Disney, where it's just a lot of sort of like wood paneling and stuff like that. It's pretty bland. The exterior of the original mouse gear is going to be dramatically changed to a much more classic Epcot feel. So all the stuff outside currently that just looks so weird without the signage, all those gears and everything, that is all going away. Those giant gear planters that people sit on, those won't be around much longer. Once Disney walls off access to the middle of Future World, as we got a glimpse of in that map from Disney, this whole area will be no more. I think we're going to see like parts of the facade completely ripped off and completely redone. So that is going to be pretty crazy to watch unfold going into this year. And with that, that's your latest look at everything happening in Epcot for January 2020 with the Epcot Overhaul. There's so much stuff going on, and more is about to unfold with the Festival of the Arts about to begin. They've already got all the booths out and ready to go around the World Showcase. I'm very excited because I've never experienced the Festival of the Arts before. I've never been able to be down this time of year, and I'm very excited to check it out. Also, all the new Epcot shows come out tomorrow, the same day, so stay tuned for a big vlog very soon. I'm so excited to bring that to you guys. Be sure to subscribe, those notifications on, so you don't miss any of that. I'm very excited to cover it. You can also check out that new Mickey Views shirt, which is also available in kid sizes. People have been asking for that, and I really appreciate your interest, so I've added that. And of course, you can also find it in an adult tee, as well as a hoodie, link in the description below. I'll talk to you soon from the Mickey Views Magic Studio, now located in Orlando, Florida. This is Brayden. Have a magical day.